Anyway, they built all those pyramids. March 11, 2189 AD, Chapter 51, Honeycomb. What was that? Romy said, staring out the window from General Brockman's suite in the New Eden. Just some more hail, dear. This building is built so well the stones just bounce off, the general said calmly. Why are there so many hailstorms? Seems like one every day this last month, Romy said. Sometimes two, the general said. Just then another shower of stones hit and a crack appeared in the window. Oh, look, there's a crack. Where's Shalene? I hope she's all right, Romy said, pointing. Oh, I'm sure she's out with her friends. I'm sure they're having a great time. Come sit with me. He motioned for her, and she came and perched herself on his lap. I'll have the window replaced tomorrow. He leaned forward and kissed her. They both stared out the window, and soon he became aroused. She noticed this, but did not share a similar state. Wonder if my husband is alive, she asked, still staring out as the hail continued to pelt the building. Darling, he's most certainly alive. Nobody dies. We're all immortal. Their God was wrong all along, the general said. But all this disease, these storms, the zero birth rate, the hospitals that are still standing are full of cancer, AIDS, and that new virus. What's it called? Romy said. AVID, angelic ventricular inflammatory disease. It affects the ventricles of the heart, brought here by all those angels. Shortly their antidote will be ready, he said. They have so much pain, so much chest pain. They can't keep up with the morphine demand. I read there's a whole state, I think Nebraska. It's entirely a poppy field. He nodded. Well, we'll go there someday when all this is settled down. When General Hitler has won the war, the final battle, General Brockman said confidently. When does that start? She asked as another crack formed, this time lower in the window. Very soon now. The good book says after the plagues the battle will begin. The last plague is that of hail. He pointed out the window, sensing he was not going to get anywhere with his amorous approach. He eased her up and walked with her over to the window. They both peered out. The noise from the hail was loud and steady. Suddenly there was a louder bang than before. They both now saw a huge 6-foot hole in the window, several stories below them. They both backed away, looked at one another, then walked hand in hand out of the suite, heading for the elevator. The halls were full of people, but the elevators weren't operating. They saw a man propped in a chair, missing his left leg. The general noticed that despite the fresh wound, there was no sign of bleeding. However, the man was in agony. Soon they saw others injured, some severely. Suddenly a huge hailstone tore through the ceiling near the elevators and landed very near them. It was the size of a cannonball and very soon began to melt. After about 20 minutes, the noise of the hail, easily heard from where they were ceased. People began filing back to their suites. Many had to make repairs. Some suites were totally destroyed. Upon returning to their suite, they found only the cracked window. Thankful, the general sat back down in his chair and switched on the television. Romy sat on his lap, blocking his view. She was now in the state he was in earlier, but he was not. He eased her over slightly so he could see the television screen. She began to massage him in the appropriate place. The newscaster was pointing to a map and indicating the vast number of areas where the hailstorms had hit that day. London sustained massive damage. The newscaster likened it to the 41 Blitz. The general smiled. Virtually every major area in the entire world had been hit and hit hard by the storms. New Los Angeles was flattened. The Eiffel Tower was turned on its side. Athens harbor was littered with sunken ships. Rome and the Vatican were in shambles, and Tokyo's city skyscrapers were all history. Calcutta, Shanghai, Sydney, Vancouver, New York, and Rio had earlier been hit by tsunamis. But of interest to Romy, as the newscaster pointed out, the little chapel at the Vatican, known as the Sistine Chapel, stood tall and undamaged. Romy, an art major in college, had visited the little chapel many times. Finally, the newscaster showed the pictures of the two great pyramid cities. The New Jerusalem was unharmed and shone brilliant in the afternoon sun. The newscaster pointed to a live photo of the New Eden and said, "The pyramid city we shall now call the Honeycomb." Presently, Shalene burst into the suite. "Did you see that?" she exclaimed, pointing to the television. "Yes, we had to go out into the hall," Romy said. "I am so glad we're all safe. This calls for a celebration." Chéline said. She went to the bar, poured 3 glasses of Sauvignon Blanc, and brought them over to the chair where Romy was seated in Chéline's husband's lap. A toast! She held her glass aloft, as did the other two. The three drank down their wine, then Chéline went over and kissed first her husband and then Romy. She knew that she and Romy could give her distracted husband the satisfaction he so richly deserved, and she was right.